Today we are going to patch a couple holes in plaster with just all-purpose joint compound. It comes with the green lid. Now if you don't want to buy a sheet of drywall or haul drywall around, you can patch some holes with just all-purpose joint compound. You don't have to buy a bunch of bags of sanding compound for a couple holes. So here I just filled this small hole, and I'm going to reinforce it with drywall mesh tape. So in a hole this small, we're not going to have too much sag in the joint compound. So it works out pretty good. But I will patch another hole or two here, and they are a little bit bigger, and you might have some sag in that. But if you do, just let it set up and push the joint compound into the wall until you don't have that sag in there anymore. Okay, so that is the patch on that one. I'll skim over the mesh tape just to embed it in the joint compound. Now I don't consider this a first coat. This is just patching the holes. So on this, I will skim 3 more coats of joint compound on there to smooth out the wall. Now I'm using an 8-inch drywall knife to do this. This hole is a little bigger, but still it can be patched with all-purpose joint compound. Now I don't chop plaster, and I don't chop little perfect squares and cut squares of drywall out to make these patches. And if you want to do that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with the way I'm patching it here either. Now this method that I'm doing here, it's very fast. All you have is a bucket of joint compound. You don't have the time of running back and forth, cutting drywall, chopping that whole square, making a ton of dust. So I kind of prefer to do it this way. Now the next hole that I'm going to do, it's bigger, and I probably should have cut a piece of drywall to patch it. But I can still patch it with just the all-purpose joint compound. And you can see here, this scratch coat, it's not very durable, so as far as the patch will be stronger than the rest of the wall. So as far as strength goes, even though a drywall patch might be stronger, when this dries, this is plenty strong. It will be stronger than the rest of the wall will be. Now this hole's a little large to be patching with just a joint compound, but it still can be done. Here I'll have some sag in there. So after it sets up, I will come back and push the joint compound into the wall so we don't have as much sag. So after I patch it, 3 coats of joint compound, you won't know the difference of how that hole was patched, whether I did it like this, or cut a piece of drywall and put it in there, or cut it perfectly square and cut a piece of square drywall. You won't know the difference. It's all the same. Now, right behind me, the guys that I work with, they do chop plaster, and they make squares and cut squares and drywall out. And that's how they like to do it, and that's fine. So you can hear them in the background chopping plaster. And their work comes out nice. I have to say that when it's skimmed out, when you are skimming it out, that it skims fairly easy. So when you do a patch like this, it is not going to completely dry overnight. But the next day, it will be dry enough to add another coat, your first coat of skim. And as you go through the first coat, second coat, third coat, the drying of the joint compound will catch up with it. So by the time you're done skimming, all the coats will be dry. And I also don't like mixing setting joint compound. It just takes too much time to do that. Now, if this was your only job, to come in here and patch these walls up and skim them, you're probably going to do this differently. But considering we have plenty to do, we can take the time to let this dry and skim it out like this. The time it takes to patches is not an issue. Because once we do this, we have lots of other work to complete. And I'll put my coat of skim to embed the mesh there, and